Hey everyone, Correct Genes here, and what I have today is the ASSA 700. Now I want to give a shout out to Yohopi, who's one of the newer users on the Discord, for over the last month or so, couple months, just being a huge asset to the community. He showed up on the Discord not too long ago as a new picker from Sweden, and as soon as we told him that Sweden has some of the best locks in the world, we were like, oh, everyone loves ASSA, you should help us get some ASSA. He was like, you know what, I'm gonna do that, and just went straight on to online stores and started bidding on locks and put together spreadsheets and organized shipping and really just went all out right out of the gate for us to help us get these really cool locks from Sweden. So huge thanks to Yohopi. He's been a real trooper through the process of getting these locks to us, and we really appreciate it. Now he still actually has an active spreadsheet now. He's still acquiring locks. I'll put his Discord information down in the description so you can contact him and put in your name for some D12s. He's got more ASSA 700s. I believe ASSA Desmo's showing up. There's some nice alloy stuff, I believe. There's more things getting added as he finds them, so you should hit him up. Now the ASSA 700 is, as the name suggests, a 7-pin lock. However, its defining characteristic is that it has the infamous Christmas tree pins, as well as gin bottle spools, and tapered pins. Now the Christmas tree pins and the gin bottle spools all are pinned up in the chambers that are countermilled in this lock, and in all ASSA 700 locks, that is chambers 1, 2, 4, and 6. You do sometimes see locks that have more Christmas tree pins instead of tapered pins and that sort of thing, but those same chambers are still countermilled 1, 2, 4, and 6. To get into this lock, I will be using float picking, which is a process by which you do not go into the full depth of the false set in the countermilling, and instead, in my case, I'll use 2 tensioners in order to hold the lock at a specific rotation and get information about the state of pins by jiggling them and figuring out how much play they have to figure out whether it's has the same amount of play as a set pin or enough play to be a pin that's caught in the countermilling and that sort of thing. So I'll try to show how that's done while we get into the lock. So without further ado, let's get this lock viced up and get it picked. All right, here we go. Now I can only hope that I can get this picked in a reasonable amount of time for you, but, well, you know, no promises. I'm going to start off with my trusty Mowpick, and we're going to go ahead and first go at the tapered pins in chambers, shit, I'm blanking, 3, 5, and 7, although pin 4 just got a little click out of them, so, you know, I guess it just felt like doing that. Wow, I'm rambling already. It's only the start of the video. How'd that happen? Okay, so I'm just bouncing between these pins right now, getting as many clicks as I can. Seven binds up real tight. If nothing else is binding here, then it's just 7 binding up very, very tight. Yep. You can release tension. There we go. Alright, 7 is set now. Now I'm just bouncing between pins 5 and 3. Apologize for any noise you might be hearing in the background. Alright, I felt a little movement off of pin 1, which means that something's happening in the lock. We are making our way down those tapered pins, slowly yet surely. Alright, just tons and tons of clicks off of 3 and 5. Oh, okay, I got a nice bit of movement there, which means that we're at the tail end. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my second tensioner before I do something that I regret. And we're going to keep going. There we go. All right, we are now hanging on the edge of a false set. We're not in the false set though. So what I'm doing now is I'm going through and I'm finding any pins in the counter milled chambers that give counter rotation. That counter rotation is from the upper shelf of the Christmas tree pins. The lower part of them is the same as a normal gin bottle spool, and of course will not give counter rotation. The counter milling is only designed for that lower part, not the upper part. And rather miraculously, I have not managed to drop the tapered pins this time around yet. I think I spoke too soon. Alright, lifted pin 2, and I lost my false set. I'm just basically pushing on the top, on my main tensioner now, and I'm not getting anywhere. So now I have to figure out where we're snagged. It can be on pretty much anything. I've had it snag on pin 2, 3, 5, 1. It's just sort of a... Alright, I'm going to switch to heavy tension. There we go. It was pin 5 this time. Alright, let's figure out where we are. Alright, pin 1. Alright, clicked him, then I lost my false set again. Let's see if it's pin 5. Yep. Okay. Upper spool element on pin 1 feels set. On pin 2 it feels set. Pin 6 it feels set. I'm going to rotate through a little bit more. Okay, and we're going to start trying to set gins now. Let's rotate through just a little bit more. Okay, I can feel pin 6 caught on a gin spool already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, there we go, rotate back and then sort of bounce on them, trying to like vigorously get them out of that counter milling until I feel it get freed up a little bit. And I'm identifying the ones that aren't set, both by click count and how much range of movement they have. Okay, so pin 4 feels like it's wiggling inside of milling. So I'm going to actually switch to my deep hook here. Another note is that I've noticed when picking gins out of milling that having more direct pressure on the pin from something like a deep hook versus like a gem gives you that little bit of extra something to get out of the counter milling. It might just be placebo, but that's just my experience. Okay. There we go. It got caught on itself. Okay, 6 feels like it's back in the milling, so I'm going to go ahead and try to set him again. Okay, he feels set now. 4 still feels set. Okay, we're going to go on to 1 and 2 here. Alright, 1 is still very loose. Or at least doesn't feel like it's next in line. So let's work on 2. 2 is sitting in the counter milling. Just going to actually rotate through a little bit more. Oh, interesting. I can't go further into this false set. That's strange. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and tap. Probably pin 6 is being weird. There we go. Yeah, it was pin 6. And dropped out of the shear line a little bit there. Okay, let's test again. Yeah, pin 2 is definitely sitting in the counter milling. I'm gonna rotate through a little bit, see if its range of motion changes. Okay, yeah, he wasn't getting anywhere. No, it's just my pick slipping off. Nothing actually happened there. Oh, felt it. There we go. Go ahead and check everything else. 4 is still set. 6 is still set. Two is set. Okay, moving on to 1. Should be the last pin. Come on. Got it. Man, that is so satisfying just to rotate through like that. All right, let's go ahead and get this guy gutted. Oh, sorry. Okay. So we got ourselves a pick block here. Actually, before we do anything, let's get the clip out using the vise and relock him. There we go. Clamp him up. Now, this lock has the thickest circlip I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Ow. Sorry about that. This thing is really stiff. Ready to come out? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Alright, and because that circlip is so thick, the groove that it sat in is also similarly thick, which means that we need to use a shim in order to get this, or the gins will pop into that little gap there, which, you know, it's a real fun aspect. Okay, let's get a shim in here. Whoops. This is actually a thicker follower. This lock actually has a plug diameter that's a little bit wider than normal. Before this, I'd never actually had to use this follower before. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and get these key pins out. Wow, this is very dirty. All right, chamber 1 we have a standard and a wafer. Chamber 2 we have a standard and a wafer that apparently is sticking at the surface somehow. Wait, oh, okay, wait, what the fuck? Okay, I'll organize this at some point. Oh, this is a drill pin. That explains so much. Let's get that other drill pin out before I confuse myself again. No, let's not do that now, or I will just dump all the pins like an idiot. All right, and we have our first torpedo pin. That is not a pin. So yeah, just a couple master wafers in here. There were more that were up in the Bible previously, but I took them out because didn't need them. This was all we needed to get the key to work. You know what? That's just going to stay there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the drivers out, and then we'll talk about countermilling and gin spools, because this lock has some really nice ones in it. So one is a Christmas tree pin. How dirty my hands are. Look at that, that's beautiful. These are some of the coolest pins in the world. I think in terms of sheer neatness, get another one. Second only to Dom rattlesnake pins. Those pins being, now we have our first tapered pin. So these are the pins that require you to bounce back and forth between them a million times in order to get them set. We have a normal gin bottle spool. The tips of these I think are a little bit thicker than on the normal Twin 6000, and they dig into the countermilling a little bit more. Whoa, okay. Oh yeah, this is the one that has, oh yeah, there was that other master wafer. So there is actually one other master wafer in this lock here, and the only reason it's still there is because if it is not there, then the key pin is actually too short, and it causes the driver to sit under the shear line when the key is not in, and we can't have that. That's how you mangle a spring. And also it would make the lock easier, and we don't want that. The last one is a barrel. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 countermilled chambers in this lock, and those countermilled chambers correspond to where the Christmas tree and gin bottle spools are. Those countermilled chambers are consistent in all ASSA 700s. If you get an ASSA 700 that has 6 Christmas tree pins in it, it's still only going to be countermilled at chambers 1, 2, 4, and 6. And it's nice deep countermilling. Get a good look at that there. Let's try to get it into the light. That's not any better. And this countermilling really is just some of the most just mean countermilling out there. If you get this bottom part stuck in here, it's in there. You're not getting any counter rotation from this. You're not getting, you can't, press up on it and wiggle it out. If you try to rotate backwards, you got to bounce that shit out of there. That's the only way it's going to happen. Interestingly, the countermilling is of a width that it is only designed for these bases, and the gin spools and the Christmas tree pins. The upper section of the Christmas tree pin does not actually lock in there. It just sort of slips out. It's too wide. And so this upper portion of the Christmas tree pin ends up acting just like a normal spool, whereas this bottom portion locks the hell into that countermilling. That's a little bit of an interesting detail, that the countermilling is so specifically designed for just that one width. So yeah, that's all for the ASSA 700. Hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.